stream in this location. I will probably be back in my own house. Well, not my own house. My own house is in the Philippines, but back in my Baltimore home probably tomorrow. Um, so all of this you see is going to be gone. There will be no ancient fan on the wall. There won't be a million Bibles behind me. Um, and I won't be downstairs where you can see the uh, army plaques on the wall. Um, and be back in my room with my things, more or less. And we're going to go from there. Also, um, well, the other day, so I didn't do a live stream yesterday. I did one Monday, and I did it on red pill content. I was asking whether red pill content is toxic. Unfortunately, most of the people who chimed in the chat room don't even know what red pill content is, so that's not very helpful. So we're gonna keep talking about it for the rest of this week, so that people can actually know what we're talking about. Like, if people watch my content, I put out red pill ideas all the time. So it's kind of weird that people who watch my content have no clue of red pill content. Now, I've even mentioned some pretty famous people, relatively speaking, in red pill spaces. People like Fresh and Fit and Just Pearly Things, the late Kevin Samuels, um, Dennis Sperling, some other folks. And I have my other phone so I can pull up those other channels in case you guys are curious. Let me adjust my chat filter here. All right. Um, Let me actually go to my subscriptions. The problem is, like I said, I stopped following a lot of red pill content myself just because I do think a lot of it is toxic. Not all, but I think a lot of it is because there needs to be more quality control in that space. And some people are shysters, but like I said, one of the people I still follow is like Kevin Samuels, even though he passed away. I still watch his content. Um, I watched Dennis Sperling, who was a friend of Kevin Samuels, and I think briefly acted as his attorney. Actually, I might have to see if you two may have unfollowed me from Dennis Sperling. Let me check. Um, the other people I mentioned, I don't follow. I've watched some of their content, but don't exactly follow. The Passport Bro is a subset of the Manosphere. The Manosphere, well, the online Manosphere, was sort of like the evolution of the men's rights movement. Um, that kind of evolved to the Manosphere, and the Passport Bro is sort of an offshoot of that. Um, oh yeah, let me check here. Yeah, I think I am. Well, no, I am subscribed to him. Okay. Well, as I was. So I'm uh, still subscribed to him. And there's some other things in the space like the critical drinker. He's actually like a film like a, a film critic and a writer in his own right. He falls into the red pill space only because so many um, movie uh, movie and TV showrunners, movie makers and showrunners of TV shows are like pretty disingenuous with the stuff they talk about, and they gaslight people into thinking that very ideological content isn't such, and that if you dislike it, then you're somehow a bigot. So he talks on stuff like that all the time, as well as like people like Nerdrotic. So people like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker have become kind of controversial to Hollywood because the they're the few people in that space talking about TV and films that give you like an honest take of that stuff. Like when it comes to like Disney and Marvel and Star Wars and DC and all this sort of stuff, the guys like that has been kind of messed up lately. Um, I don't know where Long Beach Griffey falls. He does comedy and satire on his show, so I don't know exactly where he falls in to the manosphere. I wouldn't call him red pill though, but he might be something you can call red pill. So, like I said, that was the discussion a few days ago. But when I want to get into is a specific topic that comes up a lot in the red pill space, which is who is the prize, men or the women? As far as this, so a lot of people in the red pill space have started to say that men in relationships are the prize because they are the ones who are expected to pay for everything, and they're the ones who are expected to make things happen, whereas women come in with a bunch of demands. So Dennis Sperling uh, recently made a joke about that when he said men are the prize, and his reason for saying so. Let me get to his community tabs. I think that's where he posted it. Um, he says men are the prize because they bring the gifts and the money. Women bring demands and debt. When has that ever been considered a prize? So that's pretty funny and not too far from the truth. Um, Maybe the problem is seeing anyone as the prize at all. Maybe that's the bigger maybe that's the bigger problem with the whole discussion is this conceptualization of either party in the relationship being the prize in the relationship. Um, both both parties, if we're talking about heterosexual relationships, I'm only talking about heterosexual relationships, so I can't really get into the nuance of um, other alternative lifestyles because then it gets messy. So I'm just referring to heterosexual relationships here. But in doing so, like I said, it both parties in the relationship bring something to the relationship, but they're not equal. And it depends on what's more valued, I guess, as far as who you consider is the prize. I'm not going to give my definitive take on that just yet, just because one, I wanted to think it out first, and plus, I wanted to like, I guess, piggyback this on you guys and hear what you have to say about it. Here's another one Dennis Sperling posted, which is hilarious. He said social media has women over 40 saying they are single because they haven't met the right guy. Don't worry, you'll meet him soon. His name is Jesus. uh, Someone left a comment says they don't want him either. LOL. That's that's horrible. Well, here's another one. He says most women say all men cheat, but 90% of the men on the Maury Povich show are not the father. That well, obviously that should be taken as a joke because if you look at any of those little trashy tabloid TV shows, they used to do things like paternity tests. If you looked at the credits at the end of the show, it would say that the results on the show are not factually accurate, um, but for the purpose of entertainment. But if you want to actually find out the real results of these paternity tests, you can write to the show, and they'll release the actual results. So can't go by what Maury says. Maury probably would do whatever's the most entertaining. So with that being said, like guys, so what do we? I'm curious what some of you think, both the ladies and the guys. Who's the prize? Are men the prize, as people in the red pill space are saying that men are the prize because we bring the money and the gifts, and women bring the demands and the debt? Is that true? Um, or women the prize because they bring us the gift of children and bring us peace. What's up, Dundro? Dundro says hello, everyone. I think you're the only one in the space right now, unfortunately. If this doesn't kick off though, then I'll just end it early and I'll go eat. But yeah, that's the question. Are men the prize in a relationship? Yes. If so, why? No. If why not? Thanks, Dundro. Um, there's people going in and out of the chat. So when I see the counter, I don't know if you know if it's in real time or if there's like a time lag in the counter. But I'm assuming whatever I see is how many people currently are in the room in the chat room. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna talk about red pill stuff for the rest of the week because most of the people I talked to 2 days ago when I brought this up didn't know anything about red pill content. Don't watch these red pill people. I only had a few people who were familiar with the guy Adam from No Jumper or whatever his name is, the little cuckold porn star who let his wife get railed by black men. So I was trying to look at my subscriptions for people, but like I said, I've pretty much unfollowed most of the red pill stuff I used to watch. Like I said, with the exception of like Poor Man's Podcast and Kevin Samuels, that's about it. Um, and you would think the red pill content is conservative stuff, but a lot of the conservatives actually disagree with the red pill people. So the red pill people, whereas they may have a lot of conservative takes on social views, on social issues, they might have quite a bit of conservative takes on it. A lot of people in the conservative world, politically conservatives, disagree with the red pillars as well because a lot of red pill stuff teaches men not to get engaged in relationships, particularly here in America. and the conservatives are against that. Like they were talking about this on, like, I remember the Daily Wire several months ago, where it was Ben Shapiro and a bunch of other guys talking about why they disagreed with some of the guys in the red pill space. Uh, I have the Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. He's sort of like in the black manosphere. He talks about like black masculinity, and he's a professor of black male studies and a advocate for black men. So even though I rarely watch his content because I'm not watching like something kind of long winded, because the long wind, the time I'm watching these long winded videos, I could be watching a movie or something. So, but Dr. T. Hassan Johnson is a good guy to watch if people want to know more about like issues with black men and stuff like that. This would clue people into why so many black men are going to be voting for Trump, why so many of them haven't, or even if they aren't voting for Trump, why so many of them have abandoned the Democratic Party. If people were abreast of issues within the space, these spaces for black men, like the black manosphere, they would know why we're abandoning the Democratic Party, why many of us are voting for Trump. And these are men who are not conservatives. They may be moderates or former liberals, but they just got tired of not getting anything from the people who claim to be supporting them. Zoom the Timeline. He's like one of the passport bros. I watch him. The guy is Richie Mack. His channel is called Zoom the Thailand. Really entertaining. Like he does high quality videos. He lives in Thailand. Like my friend Moonlit Fern. Shout out to him. He's not really red pill. Like he tries to be neutral, but at the same time, as a passport bro, he does have to sometimes deal with the topics that make people passport bros in the first place, which is the undesirability of women here in America. So sometimes he touches on that, but he tries not to get too touchy about, like, he tries not to get too contentious with it. But just the fact that he advocates for men traveling to other places to find better women automatically puts him in that space. And like I said, Poor Man's Podcast, maybe one day I could holler at him. But he's significantly younger than me. He's 29. But he seems older because he's pretty mature dude. Officer Tatum. Uh, I, I don't know if I would put him. I don't know where you would put him. He's a black conservative. I don't know if he's actually red. I don't know if I can call him red pill. But there's, like I said, there's overlap between red pill, black manosphere, um, social conservatives, stuff like that. There's a lot of overlap between them, but these are distinct groups of people. And like I said, the critical drinker is good if you want like a more of a um, men, like a more of a masculine look, criticism of today's movies and TV, um, where they're not just telling you how great everything that Disney does, because clearly most of the stuff they've done lately sucks, and they know it because that's why they're actually like changing stuff up in the Marvel Studios quietly, kind of reorganizing things. Oh, I'm sorry. Philanthropist says, "Hello, sir. How you doing? What's up, philanthropist?" He said, "What is today's subject?" Today's subject is a touchy one, which is, are men the prize in the relationships? That's the today's subject, and this follows on Monday's topic when I was asking, is red pill content toxic? And I gave sort of a nuanced answer to that, which is a lot of the content creators in that space do put out stuff that can be toxic, but red pill ideology itself isn't toxic, but a lot of the content that comes out of that space is toxic. A lot of it's low quality production videos. A lot of it's done by people who lack personality. Maybe people might say that about me. I don't know, but um, at least I have like some expertise in things that I can talk about and not just be regurgitating stuff I've heard other people say and then put it on here. Um, what are you talking about, Dark Star? That's has nothing to do with my topic today, brother. Um, I don't need if if you want. We can delve into that if you want to drop that in the super chat. But I haven't even heard. I don't know what neo Marxism is like, and how would Garfield have anything to do with it? That seems so weird. Like that seems so off the mark. Like I'm just talking about red. Like today's topic is an extension of Monday's topic, which is red pill questions. Like is red pill content toxic? That was my original question Monday. Today is an extension of that Monday's conversation, which is are men the prize in the relationship, which is a common refrain made within red pill spaces. But yeah, yep. So I'm looking. I really don't follow too many red pillars. Like I find, like I said, for the most part, although I agree with red pill ideology, I don't like many of the content make a lot of the content creators in the red pill space. Like I said, I only follow the late great Kevin Samuels and Poor Man's podcast. And I do think people who watch too much red pill content probably have some issues they need to deal with, and probably should deal with those issues before they spend hours on YouTube every day watching red pill content. Philanthropist can you elaborate on what do you mean by the prize? Since my level of English is 9 out of 10, I suppose there are some words that I can't understand the context. The prize in the relationship philanthropist. So that's what I was saying. I think part of the problem with this question in the red pill space and in the um, female sphere, where they say when all the women and the feminists are like, we're the prize. These men, none of these men matter, blah blah blah. And men are saying, no, we're the prize. We're the one who are expected to do everything in a relationship. So I think the problem is the use of the word prize itself. But in this context, we're saying we're, in this context, prize means who's the more valuable person in the relationship, the man or the woman. Is the man the more does the man have more value in a relationship because he's the one who's coming with his income, and we're talking in the traditional sense because obviously not everyone falls into this traditional sense in a relationship, but in a traditional relationship, are guys the prize because they're the ones who are providing for the woman with both income and the home presumably, and protecting them and raising and you know protecting the children and collectively protecting the community. Are they the prize or are women the prize because they're the ones who give the gift of children? They give men the sex they desire, um, and they are what make men want to pursue, who make men want to do things to, in order to raise their level of prestige to get the best women. So some women would say no, that's why they're the prize. Again, I I think it's sort of a mistake to say either person is the prize, but what I would say is it does lean more towards the man being of more value in a relationship. So, and I was like, that's what I would agree with the red pills, but I think they overdo it on this issue. Philanthropist says, "Oh, all right, I got it now." He said, "Yeah, yeah. My opinion is that the men are more valuable than women in a relationship, since we are expected to provide more for the family. That's what I think." Again, that's within the traditional relationship. Obviously, not every relationship is traditional. In some relationships, women make more money. They're the ones who actually come with the home. Um, they may not have children. Um, some of these guys may not have the ability to physically protect their women, especially nowadays. Uh, but like I said, within the traditional conception of a relationship, of a heterosexual traditional family, usually the guy is the provider and protector. Um, so it was seen they are more likely seen as they are probably more valuable within the relationship. But like I said, I'm willing to hear arguments on both sides if anyone appears. If not, I'm going to end this early. But like I said, be I would like to see more people and talk. But I was working earlier. I worked until like 6:40. Supposed to work till 7, but it was a point of diminishing returns by the time it hit 6:40, and I wanted to eat, visit a family member, and go run some errands. So that's why I didn't start this earlier. But I probably should have started this at 6 or 6:30. Um, Philanthropist says, I mean, I think that we men have more variety than women when it comes to personality about responsibility on what we can do for the relationship. Peppermount Aries says, hello all. Am I hearing correctly? Um, yeah, so like Pepper, the question du jour for today is, are men the prize in the relationship? This is a common refrain made in red pill spaces. And all this week, I want to talk about red pill stuff. Okay. I didn't do anything yesterday, but but Monday, I talked about whether red pill content is toxic. Unfortunately, the conversation didn't get very far because most of the people who can who contributed to the chat room have never watched red pill content creators, and so I I tried to list a few, but I should probably list many. I should probably give a better list today so that people have a better inkling of what I'm talking about and they can actually go check these people out. So I have my other phone up right now so I can actually look that stuff up as we're talking. And I can maybe give a better listing of people other than the few that I watch. But like I said, the red pill space and the manosphere are kind of the evolution of the men rights movement. Something that I was against back then because it just sounded, it's it's not a good label, men's right movement. It sounds very cringe. But I would say we do need red pill content out there. Agatha says hi. Hi, good night, sir. Just joining. What's up, Agatha? It's Agatha all along. Philanthropist says, I mean, the man is usually expected to bring the money. Right. And like I said, in the traditional relationship. Right. Agatha says, what's the topic, please? The topic, Agatha, is a question about red pill ideology, which is one of the things often said in red pill spaces is that the man is actually the prize in a relationship, not the woman. So I'm asking people whether they agree with that or not. And like I said, some people disagree with red pill because they think that secretly a lot of these red pill content creators are just beta males, or that they're just using it to exploit lonely men. And again, there are some people who definitely do that. Oh, Philanthropist says I was answering Pepper. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't even see all these comments. I'm sorry. I missed a lot of these. I'm sorry. Pepper says hello. Says wow. So you're saying us women don't bring as much to the table as men? That's another term I hate. Just like I don't like the term prize, Pepper. I really don't like the term bring it to the table. I think while some of the stuff was entertaining online, when people brought this into real life conversations, it became really whack. Like I would never ask someone in a real conversation like, "What do you bring to the table?" Anyone who says that, whether a man or a woman, I would just that would be a conversation I would discontinue because I don't want to talk with someone who sounds like they watch nothing but YouTube all day, right? But yeah, it came with Kevin Samuels challenging people. Well, he wasn't the first one. He took a lot of ideas from the Black Manosphere and Red Pill spaces and um, made it mainstream. Like the whole, what do you bring to the table? He would make fun of these women and say, "I am the table." Like, no, you're not. You're not the table, which gets into the whole thing of I am the prize. Like, if we get into the if we're going to use the um metaphorical language like tables, no one is the table. You both bring things to the table. The question is who brings more to the table, and then that gets into the question of, okay, well, who's the prize in the relationship? Women think they are the prize because they know that men desire sex from them and that they can have children for these men. The problem with that is sex come like sex isn't gonna be what makes a man commit to a relationship. That just make This is why we have something called post nut clarity. Like once a guy gets his nut off, like what else do you what else are you bringing that would make the guy stay? Like because kitty comes, kitty is like air, it's everywhere. What do you have besides the kitty that will make a guy want to be in a relationship, want to give you the ring? So, um, and most of these women can't answer that, especially because for one, they're giving away a used kitty and expecting guys to pay as if it's brand new. And the other thing is the 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 biggest thing they could bring to a guy, besides like cooking and cleaning and all that stuff, because the guy can do that for himself, is bring him a child. But if you already have children from another man, it's like, well, you're not even doing. That's not even something you're doing just for me. So what else can you bring them? And usually, if they already had children, if they've already been in many amorous relationships in the past, they don't really know what to answer to say what they bring to the quote unquote table. Another thing they could say, if they thought of, is that I would bring the guy peace. Of course, that's all well and good, but how are you going to bring him that peace? You can say, I'm going to bring him that peace, but how are you going to bring him that peace? The way you bring him that peace is what a lot of modern women don't want to do, which is submit to that man. That's how you bring him that peace. So the guy seems, so I don't want to say prize per se, but it seems like the guy may be more valuable in the traditional relationships if he's the one who's bringing the income, the security, the protection, um, and also being a beacon for other men in that community. So, uh, philanthropist is no problem, mate. Thanks. Agnes is so true. Philanthropist says, I suppose society expects us men to like quote unquote challenge the danger for helping the society since our body's biology allows us to do so. Well, yeah, so men's bodies are specifically evolved for warfare, against other men, because in our evolutionary history, there has been a lot. The biggest thing has been men battling other men for access to resources and women. So we've literally evolved for combat. This is why all men should know how to fight on some level, like whether you learn how to wrestle, box, carry a firearm, uh, MMA, Muay Thai, uh, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, whatever. Like every guy should know self defense, because literally this is what we evolved to do, is fight. This is one of the main ways we provide for our women. Even in the 21st century, with everything being all easy, with life being so easy here in America, it's not like that in other parts of the world. Besides that, it only takes one bad day here in America for everything to go awry, and we're back to the law of the law of right of might makes right. It only takes one particular mishap for that to go back to to how things used to be in pre-modern societies. And and if you live in large urban areas, there are going to be, no matter where you live, there you might come into a place where someone's going to challenge you. And yeah, you have a higher value man will have access to law enforcement and stuff like that, but it can be one of those situations where that'll be too late. That sort of that that brute masculinity, which is considered toxic nowadays. I did a live stream about that too as well last week, called "In Defense of Toxic Masculinity." If you want to check it out, um, but that brute form of masculinity is still needed today, and women still respect guys who can throw hands, because it's always going to be that time when you go to like a gas station and someone tries to disrespect your woman, or you're somewhere and someone tries to get grabby on your woman or something. Hey, like my wife and I, she feels safe when I'm with her because she knows that I can protect her. Like we went to a New Year's a New Year's party within Metro Manila, uh, at the Manila Bay, where they were filming, um, for TV, like just like how they do in Times Square in New York City, where you watch the ball drop or whatever. Like they did something similar there in Manila, so that's where we were. And after the New Year celebration, like we're all trying to leave the amusement park at the Manila Bay, and you got these teenage guys. I don't know if they're so small. I can't tell whether they're teenagers or in their 20s. Small Filipino guys, but they're basically being stupid, pushing people, shoving people, and some guys doing it. He's shoving all of us, like we're all crowded in one, like in like a long line. So when they shove us, it's almost like a domino effect where we fall into everyone else. And so I just turn around and be like, yo, cut that shit out. And he just look up at me. I'm like, yo, I'm not playing with you. Cut that shit out, or I'm gonna fuck you up. And there was no more pushing. And then there was someone in front of my wife who was doing that stuff too, and she shoved him. And I later asked her, I was like, baby, I said, you shoved that guy. I said, would you have done it if I wasn't here? She was like, no, not at all. And she started laughing. I'm like, okay, I didn't think so. She feels more confident that I can protect her when I'm there, so she doesn't feel scared. So that is a traditional role of a guy. This is what this is one of the things that puts more value on us in a relationship. Um, Agatha says I don't like the term what what's bringing to the table. Yeah, Agatha, I always thought bringing to the table is a dumb thing. By the way, that didn't start with men. That started that that concept started with women. That didn't start in the red pill space. That started in the I don't know what they call the female what the equivalent of the what the female equivalent of the manosphere is. I don't know if you call it the the womanosphere or the female sphere or whatever is the feminine equivalent of the manosphere. That started with them. That didn't start with the guys. Pepper says, regardless of men bringing the money, you need more in life. Saying men are expected to bring in the money is an old term as well. Men are the ones who choose to pay women to be with them. No, we're not. So I knew someone was going to say that. I'm not talking about sex work. What we're saying is men still pay for the relationship, whether you're talking about a one-off prostitution thing or a long-term relationship or a marriage. Um, it's known to pretty much all men that generally you're paying when you're in a relationship with with resources, money, home, like money, shelter, food, those sorts of things. Like as a lot of people have put it, even in behavior research, like a relationship is tantamount to like long term prostitution. And the way I've made the joke is, and I borrowed this from someone else. I just can't remember where, or I would credit him with it. But the way I see it is, the difference between prostitution, a relationship, and a marriage is uh, prepaid, postpaid, and lifetime membership. That's the difference. RC says hi. What's up, RC? Philanthropist says, "Oh yeah, I remember that. They say something like, if kitty is all you offer, then kitty is all I want, because those other kinds of women expect to be given more." Philanthropist says, "No, no, I'm a male, not a woman." I don't think I accused you of being a woman. I guess you're talking to one of the other people in the chat room. Pepper says, a 70-year-old man will get a 20-year-old woman. He got millions, and he truly thinks this woman loves him. Why? Why is because he doesn't, his woman isn't in the Western world. That's why. But that doesn't really happen in America or Europe because we know it's frowned upon. The main reason it's frowned upon is because the women his age and the men her because the women his age And I'm not talking about 70. Let's make it more reasonable. 50. A man who's 50 will be looked down upon because the women of his age can't get him, and the men of his girlfriend's age can't compete with him. That's why. But 70 to 20, that's a large age gap. Here's another thing. We know from behavioral research that age gap relationships are actually healthier relationships than same age relationships. Age gap relation I'm gonna repeat that again. In behavioral research, age gap relationships are healthier relationships. And behavioral research suggests that age gap relationships are healthier relationships. The men provide more maturity and security for the women. The women provide beauty and the ability to to have children. Duh. They provide the ability. They're more beautiful than the women his age, and they can have children. That's the main reason why older men look for younger women. Not to mention, they come with less they come with less sexual trauma. If you ask a pimp and they're honest, they will tell you that it's only so long you can keep a woman as a sex worker because eventually what they do will cause they will eventually you know not be able to do it forever because there will be a breaking point. Having all this really um, sex without meaning is sexual trauma. Men can do it because again we seek as sex as much as we can have to spread our seed enough from ancestral times. Not that that's a good thing a man of today should do. You should practice sexual. Um, you should practice D control, right? Um, but in this, our primal ancestors would have sought to get with as many women as possible. Women, on the other hand, had to limit whom they had sex with because once they did and had children, like once they were pregnant, like they were saddled with that for 9 months. They couldn't just go around having children after children. The guys can. They could impregnate multiple women in one occasion, whereas women can only get pregnant once. And most of the burden of that child rearing fell onto them. I'm going a way too far astray, but the point is age gap relationships are healthier relationships according to behavioral research because they both provide what each partner is looking for. The guy is looking for a younger, beautiful woman, and the reason they seek beauty is because before we had modern medicine, before we had modern science, beauty was beauty was an indicator of health. Okay, beauty is an indicator of health. This is why beauty is not merely in the eye of the beholder. Beauty has always been tied to some evolutionary concepts like bilateral symmetry, um, geometric proportions that show fertility. Again, this is why when men typically sought women of younger ages than them, because again, they wanted women who were prettier than the women of their age. The women who were prettier was a sign of their health, of them being in good health. And also, with them being younger, meant that they were more fertile and can have children. And also, after we left, once we started having society, men also sought younger women because they were more likely to be virgins. That way, they would be the ones having their children. Before there were paternity tests, you never knew if that child was actually yours, which is why in many traditional cultures, the child was always what the woman was, because you could only directly trace who that child was through the woman, not directly through the man. Because there was always, because even back then, there was women who would lie about whom the father was. So the only way to know that, so this is why things like virginity was held held so lawfully by men in these earlier cultures, and even now in some of these traditional cultures, virginity is still prized, because that's how they know that this woman will be bearing their children, not someone else's, that they are healthy, don't bear diseases and trauma from previous relationships, and so on and so on and so on. Again, because the comforts of contemporary society have made some of these concerns irrelevant, doesn't change the mindset that some men still have about these issues. Um, Philanthropist is like Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, I can't be mad at that man. Like, he knows what he wants. That's what he goes for. Now, if he ends up in the Diddy list, that's a whole different story. But um, he said, except he's not 70, right? I mean, both Robert De Niro and Al Pacino just had kids in their 80s. Or no, wait, are they 90? I think Robert De Niro and Al Pacino like 90 and 91. Let me look that up. But they both just recently had children. And these guys are older than freaking Biden. Yeah, so Al Pacino's 84. Like I said, he just had a kid like last year with a wife who was like in her 30s, I believe. Robert De Niro's 81. Like I said, they both had children last year. Pepper Myers says men believe in buying women for looks and body. Well, look at it this way, Pepper. First of all, like I said, men are going to be buying anyway. For any guy to get in a relationship, it's going to cost them money. So for some guys, they'll just say, well, why even deal with the relationship? I just want the sex. Why go on expensive dates not knowing anything's going to come of it when I can just pay for the actual thing that I want and be done with it? You can't blame these guys for thinking that way, especially when we know nowadays there are women who go on dates just to get expensive meals out of these guys, and they have no intention of actually being in a relationship with these guys. They just want a meal out of them. So, you got to realize a lot of guys are going to be good at doing cost benefit analyses. The benefits of dating don't outweigh the cost of dating. So they're gonna say, well, forget dating. I'm just gonna buy pleasure and be done with it, or I'm just gonna skip dating and go straight and I'm gonna look for like a partner through either a matchmaker, or if you live in certain cultures, parents will match their children up for marriage, or they can go through, if you're a religious person, you can go through your church. Churches often set up singles, like um, yeah, like certain churches set up the singles in their congregation or whatever for potential for potential marriage, or these guys will fly over to other countries with traditional cultures where they can find women who don't who don't casually date, like they date for the purpose of marrying, which is what I did. Philanthropist says, I mean, Leos always choose young women. He said, but I suppose that's why I expect it to happen because of what media shows too. Eh. Pepper says, I was using that as an example, but a 50 with a 19 and him expecting her to have his intelligence is not what he wants, right? I can't speak for every 50-year-old man. What I'm saying is a middle-aged man will date a younger woman because he rather mold her in a way that will make him happy with her, as opposed to getting with someone who already has a bunch of emotional baggage from previous relationships because they chose to ride the dick carousel for 20 years before they decided to settle down in a relationship. This is something Kevin Samuels talked about for a long time. Like, these women are waiting until like they've hit the wall, so to speak. Another red pill concept. Like, they're in their mid 30s, haven't been married, um, and already have multiple children out of wedlock, and now they want to settle down. It's like, no, that's not how it works. So yes, a guy would rather, so like maybe a 50-year-old guy like Kevin Samuels or Dennis Sperling would rather say, you know what? No, I'm gonna get with this 22-year-old Marissa here from Dominican Republic, or I'm gonna go over here to and date Priya, right? Okay, or I'm gonna go down there to go see um, Kim. Kim's only 25. She has no kids. She's never been married. And in her culture, being 25 with no kids, not married, makes her past her prime. But here, she's just right. And I'm 50, going on 51. Let's do it. So, look, women, you gotta realize, Pepper, women do have advantages, but and you have more advantages than men, but those advantages dry up once you hit the wall. The problem is the problem isn't that women don't have the advantages to get a lot out of a relationship. It's just they squander those resources because they don't realize there's a time stamp on it. Guys are time stamped too, but it just works in the reverse. Like, guys up until they hit like their 30s, get passed over. Like, they're not in their prime yet. Men 35 and over are in their prime. This is when they come into more financial success. This is when they are more mature. This is when they have more options. And women resent them for it. Some women do, because they had all the advantages and now they see it flipped from the time from 18 to 30. That was their time. Women from 18 to 30, this is your time. This is when you can find the best mate. Um, but like I said, a lot of these women, they squander the resources. They want to ride the dick carousel for like 20 years before they decide to settle down. Many of them end up having illegitimate children, and then they still want to be treated like they're the prize when they're not anymore. They're damaged goods. No guy wants to buy, put it this way, no guy wants to buy a video game where you play the game and you're already playing someone else's saved game on that video game. So, uh, so philanthropist says, yeah, he's at OSHIT. We got no video. He said, oh, it was just me. Yeah, I'm still filming. He said, I paused it. LOL. He said, I have a suggestion. What if on the start of the streams you put a poll, like in this case, I'm in the prize, and then yes or no as answers, so this quickly introduces people to the topic. That's not a bad idea, actually. I wish I thought that, but I can do the poll right now. Um, let's put this up right now. That was a great suggestion, philanthropist. Thank you. I wish I thought of it myself, but that just shows I'm not um, I'm not as I wasn't as forward thinking as boom, 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 boom. Oh, all right. Uh, okay. How do I enter this in here? I did a poll before, so I'm not sure why. Um, all right. Can you guys see that? Um, he says, activates this I have to pick a side mindset of humans. So this generates, I don't know how to put it on a more elegant way. This generates division, quote unquote, therefore attracting people quicker. Robbie says Jamaica and Nigeria have the highest rate of paternity fraud in the world. So yes, I believe in DNA testing. Absolutely. We talked about that in a previous stream, Rob D. But yeah, absolutely. It should be mandatory paternity testing. And it actually protects both parties. Philanthropist says because humans love to pick a side on topics. True. So guys, can you see the poll that I put up? I'm not sure if that's even showing. I'm gonna guess it doesn't show. Okay, let me redo this. I'm not sure why it's not sending it. Hold up, let me see something here. Oh, there we go. All right, it should be up now, guys. Agatha says no. Philanthropist says I don't see it. And I just put it up. I had to like I had to move the screen up so I could enter into the poll. It should be up now. Yeah, it says hello. Hmm. Ricardo says hi. So it looks like we already have like 3 votes. um, 4 votes. I'm sorry. Philanthropist says, let me try to change the stream and go back so to see if it's up. It's up now. It should be up now. Robbie says I enter my vote, and it's an emphatic yes. Flam says, yeah, OSIT, I see it there. It is nice. Yep. Maybe when we get some more people in the chat room, get some more votes for that. But I see 5 so far. But you're right, philanthropist. I actually should have started the live stream with that poll up from the beginning. That would have made more sense. You're absolutely right on that. And you're right. From I think going forward, if I have like a sort of a question of something, I might use a poll. Flam says, "There we go. I already voted. Cool. Thank you." Agatha says, "No for me, man. It's not the prize." That's I mean that's a fair. Like I said, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, Agatha. But what? Let me ask you this. Let's forget about who brings more to the table. Like I think that was I think that whole concept was really stupid from the beginning when I heard that like 2 years ago. And again, that whole bringing to the table didn't start in the manosphere. That started in the female online content creators. But I'll ask you this, Agatha. So, um, why do you think women are the prize? If you think women are the prize, why do you think they are? John Doe, why are you still here? Like, dude, you didn't. You're full of shit. I told you reach out to me in my socials if you really wanted to fight, and you didn't because you don't really want to. You're just a troll, and more than likely you're either an incel or you're autistic, or both. I've made it perfectly clear. If people want to fight me, they can reach out to me in my social, and through that we will set up something. We'll have a release. We will sign release forms and have something done. So let's not play that game. If you want to be here, that's fine, but be respectful. Let's not go into that stuff anymore because I don't take anyone seriously if they don't directly message me and set up something. Flam says, "Who that MF is he angry?" I don't know, but I don't have my moderators in here right now, so I'm gonna give people a benefit of the doubt until they fuck up, and then I'm gonna time them out or I'm gonna ban them. Agatha says because women are the mother of creation. That's true, Agatha. The problem with that is you have these women coming into these relationships with children from other men, so that devalues them. You, if you get what I'm saying. So like if you're so all right, so I want to be weird, but say you and I meet Agatha, right? If if we get together, I want you to have my children. I don't want to be raising the children of other men you bring from other relationships. If you are coming to me with a low a low body count and you have no children by another man and you're willing to submit, then you would be more valuable to me. And but most women don't bring that. They're not bringing they're not bringing they're not bringing a womb that hasn't been already used. then they're coming with other men's children. Some of them even refuse to cook, saying I'm not a slave, I don't need to cook. And they're not willing to say they're not willing to submit to their men. So they're not bringing anything of value to them. Like all they're bringing is sex, and guys can get that anywhere. So, especially today, because most feminists think casual sex is okay. Like you would think men are secretly running feminists because they've taught them to think casual sex is okay, even though it completely devalues them. I had to know you for a while, philanthropist, before I let someone be my moderator. There has to be a track of trust. So, but Agatha, but like I said, Agatha, you wouldn't be wrong if you're for traditional women. If we're talking about traditional women, then I would. If we were talking about traditional women, I would think it's 50-50, right? The men would provide would be would would bring protection and provision. Women would bring their, you know, the ability for the man to, you know, extend his legacy through her, as well as she can be his peace through her submission to him. She provides him peace. But women, like I said, a lot of women aren't willing to submit to their men. A lot of them are bringing children from men from other relationships, so they're not really giving the men value there. Rob D says, "Wow, YouTube by combat." Well, Rob D, like what I was like, so what I was suggesting is for like people who try to troll me and ask me to fight all the time because they know I do martial arts and I'm a veteran, is that we can set something up, but it would be like it would be something like Street Beefs if you ever watched that on YouTube. Street Beefs is like, it lets people get their fisticuffs on, but you have a referee, you have law enforcement, you have a you have medics on standby, and you have certain rules so that people don't end up deleting each other, right? Those are the sort of things I had in mind, because most people, like when they say they want to fight you, it's not going to be genuine. Like more like, I hate to put a number on it, but I'm gonna say like most, if not like maybe 90% of people who make these, who say stuff like this, are just trolls saying, talking trash. The other ones are just like tough, being tough Tony keyboard warriors online, and like they wouldn't ever come to where I actually live, because I live in Baltimore City, and let's be honest, I don't care what part of the country you're from, you're not coming to Baltimore City. You're just not. So then I'll say, okay, well, we can meet somewhere mutually safe for both of us. But again, there has to be rules in place, because I want to make sure this person isn't sketchy. So once you put all those things in place, most people aren't going to go through with it. John Doyle says, I subscribed, appreciate it. Um, Agatha says, true. Uh, uh, thank you for agreeing. Glenn says, no problem, I understand. Robbie says, today's women want to hold on to their modern values, but yet want a traditional man. The contradiction is so staggering. Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to get through to people. This is why the whole women are the prize versus men are the prize is a muddled conversation, because even in the best of situations where you have a traditional relationship, it, it's going to be 50-50, but that doesn't mean both people are bringing the same things to the relationship. They're bringing things that complement each other. However, in modern relationships, the women are bringing less than they would in a traditional relationship, so they're definitely not the prize. Um, Philanthropist says, "Oh, I have something interesting to tell." I don't know how it's written in English. This ancient civilization, the Sumerians, I think you're trying to say, would, no, it's the Sumerios would be in Spanish anyway. They had a special day in which everybody could go out on the streets and have sex with whomever they could find. And if the wife of a man got pregnant, they would say it was a blessing. I mean, it is interesting how we humans can change our way of seeing this over the passage of time. Well, if that's true, and I don't know whether that is, it seems like that's only on a given day. Like that's like just like the purge is only on one day. Seem the reason the purge is only on one day, and the reason this freak off is only on one day, is because it belies the very universal notion that in a romantic relationship, there's a sense of propriety over your partner, and that Obviously, a man wouldn't want to be cuckolded into raising another man's child unwillingly and unknowingly. So that wouldn't make for a very healthy relationship. I mean, a healthy community where there's a holiday every given year where a woman can potentially get knocked up by multiple other men, and not know whom, and then the husband is still expected to take care of them. Unless this is a culture in which there aren't very many men in that community, and so I'm guessing I'm guessing a tradition like that would happen in a culture where there's a lack of suitable men in that culture. Because in a place where there's just as many men in the relationship or more men than women, that wouldn't work out well. But see, but like I said, I I appreciate Agatha's like disagreement and how she voiced it. Like she said, well, no, she's like women bring creation, and that is very important. That is very important to men. Like I said, the problem is most women aren't traditional anymore in Western culture. They actually look down upon traditional relationships. They see it as enslavement or tyranny or the patriarchy. There aren't any patriarchies in Western society anymore. Agnes says, I am a traditional woman. My mom is my role model. She was married when she was 23 years old and is 45 years of marriage to my dad. That's what's up. That's what's up. Agnes says traditional. I don't know why, Agatha. Why I'm thinking of like you're like still like in school or something. I'm thinking like you're like a younger college girl, or maybe just fresh out of high school or something. I don't know. I might be confusing you with someone else. If so, I'm sorry. Philanthropist says, yeah, yeah, I'm on that side. I mean, waste so much resources for one partner. But yeah, at the end of the day, also, like I said, men not only provide and protect for their families, but they they protect their communities. I mean, once you get rid of the men, you get rid of that. You've conquered that civilization. This is why before the codes of conduct for war, you know, it was always about just destroy all the men and take the women and children as captives, and that would make men fight to the very end to know to just to prevent their women and children from being taken from them. So you had these guys fighting tooth and nail to protect their women and children from invaders. On the other hand, you had the invaders and conquerors who would completely wipe out a society by wiping out all the men. Once you wipe out the men, you wipe out that community. This is the problem with the black community. You have all these women in the black community thinking that only they and their children are the community and that the men are expendable. There is no community without the men. So it becomes bad when a lot of these men are saying, all right, well, I'm leaving this community. I'm going overseas, or I'm going to into the white communities, and I'm leaving this behind because you guys don't want us here. So I can take my resources elsewhere. There's no community without the men. So this is why we are valuable. Uh, Ag- Philanthropist Agatha, can I ask your age with all due respect? Agatha says, my parents have 10 kids together. I'm the youngest. Wow, 10. And they call us the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. you, you're Gen Z. You probably never even heard of the Brady Bunch, have you? She says, I'm 26 years old. Rob D says, women bring creation. Unfortunately, modern women believe in having casual deletions of children, which is the irony, right? And want no one to have any say in that deletions, even though it's half that man, it's that man's child as well. Philanthropist is all right, nice. Philanthropist is, oh man, have you seen the Kierkegaard videos? They are very informative about different topics of science. I haven't heard of it. I don't even know what that stands for. He said they have a beautiful animated style. I haven't seen it, but I have avoid a lot of informative stuff on YouTube unless it comes from like academic spaces. Like I watch stuff from PBS, like that's PBS Eons and PBS Infinite series, which is about mathematics. Eons is about like evolutionary biology. Um, then I watch PBS Stories, which is about like myth and literature and stuff like that. That's another PBS one I watch. PBS Nova, you know, astronomy. PBS Space Time is more about astronomy. I watch a show made by Fermilab, which is Fermilab based in Illinois, which is like it's an atom smasher. It was the biggest one in the world until they made the one out in Switzerland and France. But the Fermilab is still one of the biggest atom smashers in the world, and one of the people that works there does a channel here on YouTube. Um, then I watch stuff like like academic stuff. So he says German. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch anything in German because I'm not gonna be able to understand it. Uh, he said, yeah, I know them too. Um, yeah, I mean, I do watch some nerdy stuff online. I mean, on YouTube, but I'm very picky on what I trust. Um, so he said, when I was 14, I loved to see astronomy videos. Like I've taken a few astronomy classes. Well, astronomy classes for non-astronomy majors. And I should have took two more classes. I could have got a minor in astronomy. That would have been cool, getting a minor in astronomy. Flam says, no, the videos are in English. The name Kirkus, Kirkusat is German. Tactical Vibes says, philanthropist has been in here. Yeah, for some reason, Agatha, I thought you was much younger. I'm sorry. Like, I think I confused you with one of my other uh, subscribers on here. But that's cool. And like I said, shout out to your parents who've been married for, you said, 45 years. That's dope. I hope to I long to see me and my wife go that long as well. We're only 7 years in. Think first, act second. Thank you, sir. He dropped me a super chat, guys. He says, "What's up, fam? Looks like a good topic, and yes, we are the protectors, providers, and furnish logical guidance. Men equal the pivotal partners. That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, and so far as we're talking about modern society, men are the prize because we provide all the provisions, whether income, shelter, security. Um, you know, we have to protect like who. when something goes bump on the night, who's expected to get up and see what's going on? The guy. No one wakes up the mommy and say, "Hey, can you go see what that was?" We are supposed to do that. You get up, you unlock that safe, pull out that Glock or your 12 gauge shotty or your AR, whatever you got at home. I don't care if it's a machete. Like you grab whatever you got and you go down them steps. You tell everyone lock the doors. And if you really are forward thinking, you might have a panic room in your home. Tactical Vibes says this first act second has spared some change. Yes, he did. This no, think first act second has dropped me a lot of coins, guys. So I appreciate it a lot. And we're roughly about the same age, so we have like a similar understanding on a lot of social issues. He says, "What's up, chat?" Rob D says, "You look like you should remember the PBS show called Stargazer." I don't remember that one. Like I said, the other PBS special that I remember like concentrating on like astronomy and space was is Nova. So I watched that too. They just got a new thing up today on PBS Nova. You can watch either on their PBS channel or on YouTube, or you can download their app. But a PBS Nova has like a new special on right now called Star. Oh, is it called Stargazer? It could be called Stargazer, but it's under PBS Nova. Philanthropist and start blasting. Thing first says word. I heard a noise is always our job. Right. There's no one's ever tapped. No one's ever tapped mom. No one's ever tapped grandma and be like, "Hey, you heard that? Can you go check that out?" Ain't nobody be like, ain't nobody telling, ain't nobody telling Nana to do that. They telling dad to do that. Dad is supposed to get up and be like, "Here we go." As soon as I hear that, man, I'm like cracking my neck, reaching for whatever weapon I got. Like, I don't have any firearms here, but like, um, you know, but luckily my cousin is here. She's actually a police police officer. But like at my other home, like, I would grab something and I'm coming down the steps. And I'll tell them, "Hey, call the police while I go check this out." So lock the door behind you. Tell the kids, lock the doors, stay in, don't come outside for any reason until I tell you to. Technical advisor's got to ditch this keyboard messing up my typing. And you don't even want to see the little messed up keyboard I have for my desktop computer. Like I only got it for work, but like it's dusty. Not dusty like dusty as in it's messed up. Think first says you're welcome, my dude, and yes, a like, be like, so we see like see a like. Philanthropist says, by the way, people, if y'all got a mosquito spray repellent and a lighter, you can use that to defend yourself. Yeah, just be careful with that, man. Like, people got on fans and air conditioning, and you don't want, you got to make sure you don't spray it that it comes back on you, or like I said, if people don't want a lethal weapon like a firearm, which is the best thing to have, there are other things you can get. Like, again, you can get like a kukri dagger or machete. They're about similar. A kukri dagger or a machete. That's good. Some people also don't want a firearm because they live in an apartment, so they don't want to shoot and shoot through their walls and hit an innocent bystander in another apartment. So for some people, they might want to get a kukri dagger or machete. Um, I've heard of the so-called burner guns, which are like I don't trust those things. I wouldn't use the burners. I see those advertisements for them on YouTube. I probably shouldn't say anything bad about them because they have a commercial while this is playing. That would be ironic, but whatever. Um, but like in the defense of your home, Joe Biden wasn't wrong. He said a old-fashioned shotgun, nice little, just as for one thing, just the sound of you racking it is going to scare a lot of people and make them flee your home when they hear you racking the shotgun. There you go. Shh. That's going to scare people shitless just hearing that alone. So yeah, a good old shotgun, but I would personally want a 9mm handgun so I can use it around corners and stuff like that. I mean, you can do that with a shotgun and with like a rifle as well, but depending on the spaces, you know your home the best. If 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 your home has tight spaces, you might prefer a handgun over a shotgun or over a rifle. But again, the firearms are going to be your best sense of defense. But again, if you live in an apartment, so you're scared of shooting through the walls, or you don't want a lethal weapon like a firearm, something like a kukri knife or a machete would be good. Um, I have a katana, but I wouldn't seriously use that in case of a home invasion or something. Well, no, it depends. I might because it is a battle ready katana, so it could work. But that's probably not the first thing I'm grabbing. Pause. Philanthropist says the big ones. Again, pause. Thing first is laughing my ass off at philanthropist. Blame Dirty says I don't Blame Dirty says I don't think men are the prize. The prize is the one who is the one when when you can't be mentally or physically. Many forms uplift each other. I'm a little confused, but if you're saying that both people are bringing something to the relationship, that should be equal. I get it. My issue is that in modern relationships, there's an imbalance. Women are no longer coming with a virginal womb. Sometimes they're coming with children from previous relationships. Many of them see, many of them resent want the guy wanting them to cook for them, and will flatly say they are not submitting. They consider being submissive to their man as slavery, or they tell the man that earn, they gotta earn the woman's submission. When do you, when do you supposed to earn femininity? Like that's saying a guy is only supposed to uh, be masculine if the woman deserves it. Like, no, he's supposed to be masculine because that's his gender role in a traditional relationship. She doesn't she doesn't earn his masculinity, just like he doesn't earn her femininity. That's something you already supposed to be bringing to the relationship. But again, because of this imbalance, guys are coming off as more valuable in these relationships. Philanthropist says if there's no guns, no knife, no broom, stick, OFC. The thing is, you can use. There are so many things in your house you can use as improvised weapons. Like many self defense courses teach improvised weapon usage. One of the main ideas you want to get across to people in a self defense course using improvised weapons is the notion of defanging the snake. The fangs being the weapon, the snake being the person. They no longer have the fangs, they're no longer dangerous, right? So whatever weapons or whatever, when you're talking about either blunted weapons or edge weapons, you want to attack the person's weapon hand so they can no longer wield the weapon. That is called defanging the snake. Now, obviously, if we're talking about firearms, then this is a different thing. But when we're talking about like edged weapons or blunted weapons, then generally that concept of defanging the snake is going to be useful. I know it has become popular in some self-defense spaces to say that that's not a good concept, but it really is. Um, Philanthropist says, "Oh man, I wish I was American to vote on this elections. I want to save that country." Tactical says Kamal is just effed up. Philanthropist. Trust me, there's a lot of people with philanthropist sentiment here in America, so I I I think we got it covered. They're both candidates are neck and neck, but we'll see. The polls are unreliable as far as how accurate they are on how the vote is going to go because we know, put on my psychology cap here. In the psychology of voting, we know the surveys and polls are very unreliable because people will not always be honest in these surveys or polls. One, because some of them don't even really feel like answering these things in the first place. So they'll just say anything to get it over with. But others also will say stuff out of the sake of desirability bias. They want to say whatever it is this most they will report their opinions to be whatever seems the most socially desirable in a given environment. Also, um, it doesn't take in you know people's concerns about privacy. So once someone's in the so once someone's in the voting booth, um, and they no longer have to worry about privacy issues. They don't have to worry about seeming socially desirable in front of others. They're going to vote how they really think and feel, and that tends to be often at odds with those surveys and polls. So, philanthropist says somebody whom I won't name said they were going to take the guns of the people, right? But now she's claiming she owns a Glock. I don't and this is why people don't trust her. When people keep saying, "Well, yeah, but so and so lies," so does she. But I want to turn this into a political topic. I want to keep this more about the whole red pill question of who is the prize in the relationship. I think first as facts, he said the sound of a shotgun will make him won't walk the fuck off my property laughing like shit. Right? They hear you racking that shotgun. It just got real. The only person that will still probably still try you after hearing that is someone who's probably like high, like someone who's hopped up on drugs will probably still try you out, and if so, you got to pepper them up a little bit, get a little bird shot, then a buckshot, then another bird shot, then a buckshot, another bird shot, then a buckshot, buckshot, buck. Let me stop. Tactic says, "Oh no, we." He said, "We know. Trust me, we know who." Yes, sir. Philanthropist says, "You have a katana. That's cool and stuff." Yeah, guys. So some of you haven't been on my live streams when I was at my previous place. So when I'm at my previous place, I'll let you guys see a lot of my stuff there because a lot the people who've been on my channel for longer than 4 months, you've seen like my stuff, like all my collectibles, my weapons, and all that sort of stuff. But if you've only known me since I've been here at my grandmother's place, then you wouldn't have seen my stuff. So you guys, I'll show you my katana. It's a 10 reuse. I think it's 10 Ryu. He's like one of the biggest like swordsmiths right now. There's another guy who's bigger, so his stuff is a little bit more, but Tenyu Ryu is up and coming, so his stuff is a little bit more. His swords are more affordable, but of the same value that the other famous swordsmith is. So I don't mind showing people that stuff. Tactical Vibe says that philanthropist flashback 1 day ago. He said, "Wow." He said, "Yeah, don't just get comfortable with the polls. Go out there and vote." Yeah. I would say beyond voting, voting is like the least politically active thing you can do. If you really have concerns about the way society is going, don't just vote. Besides voting, like get active in your community. Like go to those town hall meetings, go to those county council meetings, go to those district hall meetings. If you if you really if you have the time and effort, run for office. Like something, start off with something small, like being I don't know, like city council or just a alderman, something like that. Like, it- or you can or you can become part of you know, you can join with like think tanks or with certain certain PACs, certain political action committees. There's so much stuff people can do besides just vote and just kind of brush their hand, just after voting. Like voting is the least that you can do to be politically active. But like I said, there's so many other things you can do, like participating in your local meetings, whether it's the city on a city level, council level, town level, district level, state level, um, running for office yourself, um, joining political action committees, writing your local representatives, stuff like that. Like there's a lot of stuff people can do. Thing first is I'm gonna keep it a buck. He said I dated a lawyer and she thought her success and dominant nature held weight in how we communicated until TMI that that pipe got laid down. so my so I used to think the same way. Thing first, like especially back in college, I used to actually be like, yo, because I used to have like a thing for like girls from like New York and New Jersey. So, like oh, sorry, it was reconnecting. Yeah, so I used to have a thing for these women, and I thought I could just conquer them and make them submissive too. Think first, like back in the day, like I said, I like these little New York girls, New Jersey girls, and they would be acting all tomboyish or masculine, and I'd be like, yo, I hit it right. I'll make them submissive, and it works, but it's only temporary though. That's the thing. Like, you know, if you put in the work, for sure they will be submissive, at least temporarily, but it's not permanent. Like if they're just a masculine chick, you're not going to change them. They're always going to be masculine. You can like temporarily make them submissive by putting in, you know, at the end. But like at the end of the day, it's like you shouldn't have to go through all of that just to get someone who's feminine and and compliant, which is what being submissive is, just being feminine and compliant. Like I don't mind, putting in the work. Don't get me wrong. But again, if I have to keep doing that to kind of like keep them feminine and submissive and cooperative, it's not worth it. Like when I can just get someone who's already like that and give them the pipe and they just appreciate it even more. Philanthropist is totally. Agla says, "Do you remember when I told you I was concerned about the vaccine giving me irregular periods? I saw my OBGYN yesterday and did a bunch of tests to see what the problem is, so I'm waiting on the results." Now, I do remember that. I'm glad you did actually get tested. I'm glad you actually listened and actually saw your doctor instead of getting online medical advice from people like myself and you actually saw a professional. That's good. I hope the results come out favorable. Um, it's the concern that you are right now like in a relationship where you're looking to have a child or you just want to make sure this doesn't affect your future like chances of having a successful child where well having a successful pregnancy, that is. Philanthropist was a trust worthy clinic. He's, I mean, some might be shady. I don't know. I don't know where you're living, philanthropist, but for the most part, um, because the, when you go to a specialist, they're usually not going to be shady because to get to that level of specialization within the medical field, you have to pass through a lot of hoops to get that certification and licensing. So she should be good, hopefully. Thing first is exactly say I got bored and felt the flaws on her ideologies and views on our roles were exposed, but I did prove a point. But you hit the nail on the head. Pause. Right? Yeah. It's like the problem. What's up, Asia? What's going on? She says, "Howdy, y'all." Yeah, the problem. Like I said, the problem with that thing first is like, yeah, she's definitely screwed up. Like they think they're competing like men. Like their education and degrees and stuff doesn't impress a man because that's we can't do anything with that. It's not a point of prestige to say, "Oh, my woman is a such and such." A point of prestige is like having her on my arm and people being like, "Oh, like he has a beautiful wife on his arm. Look how she, look how she listens to him and she adores him." You know, like I'm gonna be blunt. You can't fuck her degrees. Like that doesn't impress me. Like they don't realize that the stuff they be saying like, well, I'm a lawyer and I'm an accountant, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, blah 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 blah. Like your degrees don't impress us because not what we that's not what we want from you. Like that doesn't help us. And they don't get that. Like like they think that's the stuff that impresses other men. That's not what impresses women. I mean, that's not what this is what men do to impress other men. This is not what women do to impress men. Is like bragging on their degrees and accolades. Not that I have a problem with them being a lawyer or whatever. That would be dope if she's a lawyer or whatever. But that doesn't make her more valuable in a relationship. Like her law degree doesn't make her more fertile. So at least not that I heard of. Agatha says yes. Okay. She says that's my concern, getting pregnant when I'm ready. Gotcha. Thing first is what's up to Asia. I definitely like if you ladies see the poll, I definitely want you guys to contribute to the poll too. Like I want to hear everyone's get everyone's views. Um, Philanthropist says, by the way, man, what is your name? I mean, I've been watching some of your streams for some time, and I don't know your name. You've not been watching too many streams. I've said my name at least a dozen times. My name is Amon, and I even went into like the whole. Well, I haven't done this many times, but I've said my name many times. But I also have, in several streams, talked about how I was a Muslim child, but then later grew up Christian, and now I'm atheist. So, um, but yeah, thing first is facts. He said, my pursuit is for a ride or die. Men need to pay attention to the loyalty or acceptance of what we bring to the table to formulate proper balance. I cherish females being feminine, damn it. Word. Agreed. Philanthropist is all right. Nice. Yeah. Like I said, I like them to be educated to be sure. The reason I want them to be educated is because that establishes to me that they're intelligent. Because I don't want to have children with a beautiful idiot. That's so I do like women who are educated. Like I said, my wife is educated. She went to one of the best colleges in the Philippines. Um, so I know, and I always tell her, I'm pretty sure you're probably smarter than I am, and I'm fine with that if she, if she is. Uh, but yeah, I don't want I don't want a beautiful idiot because I don't want to have stupid children. So, insofar as that is concerned, that's why I would like a woman with a degree. But beyond that, but beyond that, trying to have a dick measuring contest with a man is a turn off to me. Like talking about, how Kevin Samuels always used to do do the replay button for that woman. I'm a PhD. I wish I wish I had that technology. I would do that too. I would play it like every time the woman tries to impress him with her degrees and stuff. He would play the button. I'm a PhD. Philanthropist, that's one epic backstory from Muslim to Christian to atheist. Yeah, I mean, when I was a child, I didn't have a choice of what I was. It wasn't until I was an adult that I got to choose. So either way, I always had Christmas. I still have Christmas today. So there's a lot of atheists that celebrate Christmas, so. And I celebrate Halloween. So you know, I think first is I thought your legal name was Contrarian. LOL, just kidding. I don't know. Maybe I should legally change it. He said, think first. He said, word philanthropist. That is an eventful backstory for real, for real. Yeah, so like that's why I got my name in mind. Like, so guys, you can tell some people's ages sometimes by their names because in certain generations, their parents will pick certain names. So like all the like black men who are born like in the late 70s, early 80s tend to have either African or Muslim names because that was the whole era of the Black Power movement. So guys in their middle ages from like I'm gonna say anywhere from like 44 to like 50 or whatever, you're gonna find a lot of them with names like Aman, Abdul, Jamal, um, stuff like that, because those were common names that mothers often gave their boys in that era because they were all into that old Black Power um, thing. So a lot of them have like African or Muslim names, even though they might be Christian. Now we were actually Muslim for a while because I remember my mother taking us to the mosque, and I even remember a guy confronted my mom when I was a kid when she was taking us to this fried chicken place, and he was trying to tell her that was she shouldn't be taking us to that because that's the white man's chicken or something crazy like that. It was something stupid. I can't even remember. It's, and this was like, mind you, this was like 40 years ago, and I still remember this. I remember this. My mother doesn't even remember it, but I told her I remember it. She doesn't. I remember we were going. It was either to like Chicken George or KFC, which was still Kentucky Fried Chicken back. No, it was Geno's Chicken. In some places, Kentucky Fried Chicken was called Geno's Chicken, and we were either going to Geno's Chicken or and we like she was walking us there because it was a short bop from our house, or it was uh, Chicken George's. And like I said, I remember this guy talking to her, confronting her, saying she shouldn't be buying us this food because it's the white man's food or something like that. So, but either way, like I said, even when I was Muslim, we still had Christmas, so I still got my Christmas gifts. At least as far back as remembering when I was 5 years old, and then when we were Christian, because when she married my stepfather, she converted back to Christianity. Um, you know, but when I became a teenager, I became quite skeptical of religion, um, partly because I felt like my family didn't act in a way that was in accordance to these beliefs, and also because I just didn't think there was anything behind these beliefs other than just people's unfounded faith in them. So that led to one thing, and here we are today. Um, Philanthropist says, I suppose I'm agnostic. I believe that the universe has an owner. Well, if you believe that, you're not agnostic. If you say the universe has an owner, like that is, you're saying that there's some deity in control. That wouldn't be an agnostic. An agnostic just basically says, I don't know one way or another. I, I don't have an opinion on this. That's what the agnostic basically says. Think first says, man, I wish I found a chick smarter than me. He said, I tend to be much more cerebral than my counterparts, but oh well. He said, I just find it bizarre how many women I've dated get thrown off by my chivalry, though. What the F? If they get thrown off by your chivalry, that means they are used to being treated like trash. Like a lot of these modern women prefer guys who treat them like trash because they've never known anything else. And when they meet a guy who treats them with respect, they don't know how to act to it. So that means they're the ones who are broken, not you. he says he says it's like they prefer to be dogged out or waiting for the standard or subpar treatment. He said, "Boo." Dundra says, "I'm back, guys. What's going on?" Thing first says, "What's up, Dundra?" Philanthropist says, "Yeah, I don't think we men have a strategy for finding smart women. I mean, where would we find one? A library, maybe. Hey, I saw you around. Can I have your number?" And then she goes, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend." So, guys, if you're looking for a smarter wife, smarter woman to date, it's not that hard to do. First of all, you can go to these matchmaking sites where you know the person's like, I mean, there's OK Cupid, which has kind of gone down in quality in the last 5 years from what I've heard than when I used it. Because I used OK Cupid to meet my wife, guys. But it was a higher quality product back 8 years ago. Um, but something similar to OK Cupid, um, where it lists the person's education uh, attainment. That's one way. Also, is when you're still, if you're younger, you're still in school pursuing your education. That's college is the like college is probably the best place to meet someone before you go into the working world, because college is the last time you're gonna find women on the same level as you are. Also, it's gonna be the same. Also, it's gonna be the last time you can get some ass from women and be totally broke. It's college. But putting that aside, college is one of the best places to find women, which is why, like I said, women between the ages of 18 and 30 have much more advantages, social advantages, than men their age. That starts to reverse by the time men turn 35. Then most of the advantages are to men, and women resent it because for the, for the for most of their life they've been the prize. But once they once they become older, they're no longer the prize. So this is the time, like I said, 18 and 30, presumably they're in college or pursuing some sort of education or internship or apprenticeship. This is where they need to meet their men, because this is the time where they're going to find men who are about, you know, who are productive and looking to do something with their lives, and who would be receptive to women of the same ilk. Okay. Um, and likewise for guys, this is the time where you should be finding women, is because if you care about having women who are smart and beautiful, college is the best place for that. Women college by and large, women coming out of college are like the most attractive, because a lot of these women who were hot in high school turn to trash as soon as they leave high school. Like they get knocked up and they're done. um, but a lot of those girls that go on to college and or to grad school or professional school, they tend to be the most beautiful and they're smart. This is where you find beautiful women in college. If you didn't go to college, um, or you're already out of college, then the way to find these beautiful women are still in even uh, still you can still academic settings like college towns or not libraries unless you plan on asking out the librarian, then yes, librarians tend to have a master's degree in library science. If for some people who don't know, those women those women behind the desk in the library tend to be very educated. Many of them have master's degrees in library science. So yeah, they're educated, but aside from that, just merely going to a library is not going to find you an educated woman. You're probably going to find someone who's a mom. um, but yeah, academic settings, match or through matchmaking, um, or or through or or being or the old-fashioned way of getting referred by friends to hook you up, or if you work in a STEM field. If you work in a STEM field, that's another way. If you find women in your industry, if you work in the STEM field, that's how you can also meet educated women. But I myself, I can't date or marry a beautiful idiot. That's I can't do it because the Putin is only gonna entertain you for so long. Then you're just gonna get tired of this person. I think first is a Muslim Christmas is crazy as F fam. He said Alavis. Alavis. He said it's no offense to anyone. I don't celebrate a damn thing. No, so I mean, I think just because even though my mom was Muslim, like the rest of my family wasn't. It was just us two that were Muslim. And the funny thing is, even when she became Christian, she still gave my sister a Muslim name too, Anisa. Um, but um, no, it's like my mother and I were Muslim, but my father wasn't very religious. If I can remember back then, he became religious later on, but most of the family was Christian, so we still celebrated Christmas because the rest of the family celebrated Christmas. So I think that's why we still had Christmas. But it wasn't. If it was left up to her, we probably wouldn't be celebrating it. I'm not sure. But we lived in a typical extended family where the grandmother was still the matriarch of the family of the house. I had my uncle there, my cousin who was like a sister to me. Um, yeah, so we they still celebrate it. Thing first is grabs notepad for finding a smart B. LLLs. Landon says, "Well, I'm F then. I'm on a virtual university. Don't you still like?" Well, his so I don't know how you do this in a virtual university since I went to a brick and mortar school, but one of the best ways I used to always meet girls, philanthropists, while I was in school, I will always ask them to be my study partner. Like that became I usually end up smashing them. Like I would be like, I always be like, I would go up to a random girl that I found attractive and be like, hey, would you like to be study partners? And they usually were always like, yeah, because I was genuinely I did genuinely want to study because I knew that you know I knew that when you study with people, it helps you retain more information, because what you do is you study on your own, and then you study again with that person, you retain more info. So for one, it was actually helping me do better in class, and then two, um, usually the girls thinking the same thing. Like, I would like a study partner, and if you were, they can tell you you're being genuine, so they'd be like, sure. I've never heard had anyone, maybe except maybe once or twice, but I've almost never had anyone refuse to be my study partner. Be like, no, I got this on my own. That's almost never happened. Like, I think it may have happened once or twice, but and I can't even remember when. But almost all the time, I'd be like, hey, would you like to study together sometime? They give me their number, whatever, whatever. And then we would set up times like I would either go over their place, or they come over my place and we study. Sometimes I have food or whatever. Um, and because as you study with people, you're gonna talk to them about things outside of like your actual studies, and so you get into other conversations. You talk about stuff like what you like to watch, or um, if you're on the campus where you've moved to campus from another city or another state, you might say, hey, I'm originally from so and so, where are you from? And just making, like, being around someone all the time is going to cause an attraction. And like I said, one of the main ways I used to like meet women without going on like any sort of traditional dates while in college, because again, most of us in college are broke. So the easiest way for me to find girls, and again, because I'm finding girls in the classes I'm going to, I know they're smart. It's like I would ask them to be a study partner, and most of them was, most of them would smile. I'm like, okay, sure. I don't know, maybe because they consider me attractive as well. That could be a factor. I never considered that part as well. So if someone's not attractive, then you might need to work on that as well. But aside from your personal attractiveness, that used to be my main. That used to be my foot in the door with women. I would just be like, hey, would you like to be a study partner? Or sometimes you didn't even have to do that, because sometimes for certain classes they put together study groups. Like, they would just pair people together in study groups, and so that would happen as well. So I'm pretty sure even with a virtual university, you you can set up some sort of like study partnership with someone. Be like, hey, would you like to um, find someone in your virtual classes? Be like, hey, would you like to study together? And even though it won't be face to face, I guess it would be like more like you DMing each other back and forth. It'll go from like talking about academics to casually talking about other things, and there you go. Hope that works. I hope that helps you out, philanthropist. Thing first is laughing my effing black ass off. He said, you getting some poutine while broke is hilarious. He said, facts though, even though I never went to college, I kind of always had ends working and doing other things since 16. Gotcha. Less said, better. But nah, I mean, it's true though. Thing first, like, college is the last, like, college is like the last time that a guy can get women, can get really attractive women while being completely broke, is college. After that, once you go into the working world, that's not the case anymore. You have to show that you can produce. Like, in college, everyone is still on their in college, everyone's on their potential level. Like, they're potentially going to be something. Um, but I think it's kind of, I think a lot of these guys are cooked nowadays, because some of these girls are on Instagram and watching these influencers, and now they think that guys like 20, 21 years old are already supposed to be like having six figures and shit like that. We didn't have that problem back in the day. Like, I mean, there were some girls that were like that because they wanted guys who were uh like like making money like rappers, but most girls didn't have the expectation for most like I said in college, they were basing it off your potential, not on what you were actually producing at the time. So this is why they would go after like all the student athletes and stuff like that because they know these guys who are basketball players and football players are probably uh, might likely get a might get into the pro leagues. They might go into the NBA. They might go into the NFL. They might go into the major leagues. So they would go for these guys based on their potential, not on what they were actually already not for the bread they were already making. So philanthropist says, I mean, I study my cybersecurity degree from home on my computer. Well, I just put you in game. Like I said, get a study partner. Even virtual university, you still got to study with people. I'm guessing. Set it up. Every class as a girl, be like, hey, would you like to study together? So it's different though since it's not face to face, so you don't know if they're cute. I already know these girls are cute as I ask them out, and I'll ask. The funny thing is, I'll ask like a girl who's like really nerdy but cute as hell. So I don't go like this was the other part of it, right? This is how they always thought I was sincere. I didn't go for like the most like voluptuous girl in the class and ask them do they want to be study partners. I will go after. I had like a thing for nerdy girls, but who were really cute, and so they would sometimes they were just flattered that I was coming up to study with them because they thought, oh, he's I hope that I'll help this little dumb little guy out. I don't know what they were thinking, but like I said, they almost always said yes. And like I said, usually the conversation would turn eventually from our studies to something else. Especially once we were done, you get tired. You might want to get something to eat or whatever, and it's like already late at night, so people are more relaxed. Especially if you're at her place or she's at your place and she feels comfortable. College was good to me. Thing first is that's what's up, philanthropist. Get easy, get it how you live it. Tactical Vibe says, I'm back. What's up, Tactical? Uh, Think First says, about to hit the library tomorrow and get me a brainy broad. She got to be shapely, though. Well, Think First, like I said, if you go into the library to get a brainy broad, make sure it's the librarian, not just someone in there checking out books. If you see a woman in there checking out books, she's probably got children. But if she works there, then yeah, she's educated. Because like I said, a lot of librarians have like a master's in library science, library and info science. So they're smart. Philanthropist says up. Tactical says what's good. Thing first says welcome back, Tactical. He said I had to check on my boy. He on the road to 1,000 subs. Oh, that's what's up. If you want to give him a shout out so that people can sub to him here, go right on ahead. Philanthropist says we need to send people to Mars so to save humanity. Um, well, I've signed up for that. Like me and my wife, I signed us up for that Elon Musk thing. Not saying we will actually go, but it's tempting. So we signed up for it. CC Motion 1998 says that always happened when I studied. I wasted more time not studying. No, so don't get me wrong, CC Motion. We did actually study, bro. But what I'm saying is, after we study, like, you want to relax. So, we might eat eat something afterwards, or like watch a movie, or make out something might happen, something might pop off. If nothing happens, then that's cool. But I always, but what I did notice is like when I study with them, th- this there was always like some sexual tension in the air after a while. Like there would be like a buildup of sexual tension. So that's like my free game to the younger folks. Philanthropist says, imagine if someone was totally honest and went, hey, do you want me to f you up? Nah, that doesn't work. No one wants that approach. And besides, like I said, I did genuinely want to study. That's why it works, is because I do genuinely want to study. It's not just me trying to play. It's not just me trying to get them over just to make moves on them. No, we. Anytime I ask someone if they want to be my study partner, I genuinely do study with them because it's going to help me. But that's that's why it works. Genuinely studying with them causes is what is what facilitates the connection with them. If you were doing it just to have them come over and then you just start trying to make moves on them, it's going to turn them off, and I mean, you're gonna come off like a creep. Um, and again, when you live on campus, it's a small knit community. So if you play yourself like that, she's going to let other people know this dude's a creep. Don't study with him. So no, don't do it unless you actually want to study with the person. So you gotta you got you gotta be strategic. Because you're younger, I think you just want to rush into everything. I was young too, but again, gotta be strategic. Thing first says that sounds like good game though. True story. He said I've never directly pursued a chick. I kind of value the organic thing happening. Plus, they can't claim I tried to smash. Nah, we chose to. Laughing like shit. HNNS is subhumans. Yeah, man. So let's see what time it is. 11:27. But like I said, that's free game for the young guys out there. If you're in college, if you're looking, look. First of all, you guys got it easy already because you got Tinder. Tinder is spoiling you guys. Like you can literally like meet someone in your dorm off a Tinder and hook up the next day. We had to at least put in that work. You might meet someone at a campus party, or you might see someone you like at a stamp at a student union party, or a college, or you might go to the clubs and they have college night and you meet someone. But like I said, the best way I met women weren't at campus parties, student union parties, or college night at the club. It was studying with them. But like I said, I wasn't a creep. Genuinely wanted to study with them. That's why I picked nerdy girls in the class. Again, because these are nerdy girls, they don't think you're trying to just get with them because they look good. The girls the girls who are dimes or like nine or at least eights and nines, they know they're attractive. They know when guys are just trying to get at them. They're gonna have their radar up because of that. And also, they may not. The few times like I would ask the really hot girls if they want to study, some of them didn't know how to study. So like, nah, I would choose the girls who are like really cute but sort of like nerdy a little bit, or don't look like they party. And almost all the times they say yes. And like I said, we genuinely studied. And like I said, sometimes the nature of what you're studying might lead to that sexual tension. Like when I was taking anatomy and physiology, some of the stuff we had to study dealt with sexual reproduction, and that caused tension in itself. Or when you're studying like late, because you're preparing for a midterm, you know, it gets late, people get comfortable. So, but again, that's free game. One is going to help you. It's going to help you academically because the more you study, the better you're going to do in class, right? The thing is, when you study on your own and then you study again with a partner, you retain more of the information and it helps you do better. But also, you get to you, you befriend more people. You even if it just ends up platonic, now you know more people in school. You're forming connections that can last you a lifetime. Um, Even if she's not interested, she might have friends who are interested, or you know what, she'll put in a good mouthpiece for you even without you saying anything. Like you might be walking on campus one day, and she'll be like, "Oh, that's my friend Amon. Like, we used to study together. He was really nice." And her girls would be like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, he kind of cute." Look, this is free game for you younger guys in college. And if you go to a virtual school, you can still get study partners. Um, Agatha says, when I was in college, I normally study with females because studying with guys mostly have alias of sexual energy. See, Agatha, that's what I'm talking about, though. That's what I'm saying. Like when I study with girls, I genuinely wanted to study with them. Like like I didn't hit on them. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I was trying to tell philanthropist. Like he doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. He's saying he thinks you just ask them to be a study partner to hit on them. I'm saying no, you don't hit on them. When I studied these girls, I didn't hit on them. Sometimes they hit on me. Like this one girl I studied with in anatomy, like like when we were going over the reproductive system, and she was like, "Yeah, so this parts such and such here and stuff like that," and sometimes she'd get a little pokey, little, um, and we became friends from being study partners. So she invited me out to go to like a little Caribbean club. This is in DC, so a lot of Caribbean nightclubs. She was an Indian girl, like a lot of Indian girls, like reggae. She invited me. It was her and her friend and her friend's boyfriend, and so I'm just chilling. But like the boyfriend was like, "Yo, let's get them some flowers." I'm like, "All right." So he bought his girl some flowers, and I did with my friend as well. And they were both sitting there just beaming, all happy and blushing and stuff. After that, I got grinded on for the rest of the night um, in the club. And then, I mean, it was so much so like when we was coming home, she was like, I would ask you, um, can I come over for a nightcap? She's like, but I'm trying to be good. I got a boyfriend. I'm like, all right, I understand. I was like, if you want to though, you can. She's like, I really want to, but I can't. I'm like, all right, bet. But yo, she was so cool. Like she even went to Jamaica during like I think like a Christmas vacation. It was either spring vacation or it was either spring vacation or Christmas vacation. She brought me back some Jamaican rum. I didn't even ask her. Like she just brought me back some Jamaican rum. Or another girl, we were studying for a math class. I think she was so surprised that I asked her out. I mean, not asked her out, like asked her to study, because she was like a nerdy girl, but she was really cute. Like, and I love that. I love that some of these nerdy girls don't know how pretty they are to guys. But I love the girl next door like type of girl. That's my wife. She's the girl next door type. Like I love that. Like we were studying. I'm at her place, and she just casually mentions something about her boyfriend and that she uses nor plan or something like that, so she doesn't need to use condoms. And I'm like, why is she telling me this? Like, they was like the that had nothing to do with the conversation we were talking about at the time. Like we were just finished studying for the midterm or whatever, and she just casually dropped this in a convo. I'm like, wow, okay. So to answer Agatha, I get it. Like I said, the problem with the whole study thing is that some guys like intentionally are just trying to be creeps. But that was never my intent. The reason why it worked for me, Agatha, is that I genuinely did want to study with them. Right? That's why it worked. I did. Plus, they even told you like usually in the beginning of every course that you should find one person to be your study partner in case either one of you miss the lecture. You can you can use the other person to get the lecture notes for that day, or the class, or if it's a discussion for the lecture. Because sometimes you have a lecture, then you have a separate discussion class, or you have a lab, or if it's a science class, you have a lab. So if you miss either of those days, either the lecture, the discussion, or the lab, you have someone that you can get that information from on the day that you missed. So you should always be having at least one study partner per class anyway. So so really, I was just doing what a good student would do anyway, which is always finding a study partner. It's just that I always enjoyed having a female study partner, but I never like did it with the intention of hitting on them. I just found it more pleasant to study with a girl. But like I said, often there would be sexual tension in the air, but it wouldn't be from me trying anything. That was not, to me, that was like the icing on the cake if something happened like between us. But that was never the intent. My intent was simply to study with someone who I found attractive. That's it. Um, but like I said, more times than not, something did happen, but it wasn't initiated by me. When the girl, like, again, I'm putting you guys on game. When the when the girls feel comfortable, they will make a move on you or let you know that they want you to make a move. You have to wait. You have to be. You can't just. You can't just jump on. Let it happen. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But often it will happen. But you let them feel comfortable where they will initiate it. If they don't initiate it, then I'm good. I still got a I still got a study partner. I help got someone to help me do better in class than I would on my own, and she's gonna know other girls on campus. And when she waves at me, when I see her in the student union or across another building, and they ask who I am, she's gonna tell them, and they're gonna, you know. Let me get to my I got another super chat. Um, thing first is let me pay you. Let me pay how your free game weighs. He said for the young bloods out here. LOL. He said y'all better take heed. Thank you. And thank you again for the super chat. Thing first, act second. Guys, that's how you do it. But yeah, this is I'm giving you guys free game. Like I said, I know college has changed a lot in years, but it hasn't changed that much. Like I said, most courses you take when you read through your your curriculum for that class, most professors will advise you to find a person to be a study partner anyway, in case you miss your note, in case you miss a lecture, in case you miss a discussion, in case you miss a lab. So they will tell you to have a study partner anyway, in case that happens. You can rely on someone, or they can rely on you. Also, and like I said, because of that, I'm really just doing what a studious person would do anyway. The only difference is I'm making sure it's a girl. But you should never do it with the intent of creeping on her. Like, do it for the actual intent of studying. And if it happens, then it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But more than likely, it will. Let things happen naturally and let her initiate that. HNNS says, what is your favorite animal? Uh, I, I don't know if I have a favorite animal. Um, I don't know. Maybe a turtle. And I'm just saying that because my my mascot, my alma mater's mascot is the terrapin. So um, other than that, I don't. Other than that, I don't think I have a favorite animal. Agnes says studying with guys, especially handsome guys, always hit on me, make me very uncomfortable. So I think I answered Agatha adequately, I hope. But like I said, I always study with people with the actual intent of studying, not with the intent of hitting on them. I think that's very skeevy to ask for someone to be a study partner and then don't actually study with them. That's going to one, it's going to potentially backfire. And two, again, if you're on a if you're living on campus, everyone knows everyone, so you make yourself look bad, other people are going to know about it. So I would never do that, because she's going to tell her friends that dude was creepy, don't study with him, and then you're going to get that label on campus as being a creep. HNS says favorite XD. I don't know what that is. HNS says Soros tried his best, man. Thing first is, bro, you were a savage. LOL. He said quiet but kept. Like I said, the reason it worked thing first was because I legitimately wanted to study with the girls, because I knew when I study solo, I'm more easily distracted. But when I'm actually studying with someone, it forces me to actually study. Like when I'm studying on my own, I'm easily to get distracted by TV or getting like um, instant messages. Before back then when we had AOL chat or Yahoo messages or MSN messages. I never used ICQ though, but I used like AIM, MSN chat, or Yahoo chat. So between constantly getting instant messages on my computer, um, tempted to watch BT, and if I'm home, um, friends always coming over. Like either I was living with my friends with off-campus housing, or like living on campus. Your friends always coming back and forth. Like it was very easy to get distracted. So that's why some people would just lock themselves in the library and study. I know also, like if you I don't want to put too much of what the black frat black frats and sororities did, but I didn't join the black fraternity though, by the way. Although I was invited to do so. But anyway, I know for them what they do is like they make you lock into the library for a certain amount of hours to study anyway, because they don't want your grade, because everyone's grades tend to drop when they pledge, when they go on, when they join the line. So make they would make the make their pledges go to libraries at certain times and lock in for a certain amount of hours, because that's the only way you're going to make sure that you actually study. But I think studying with a partner is better. It really is. And that's why I did it. It wasn't just to get the girls. I just wanted to study with the girls because I felt more comfortable studying with girls. Like sometimes I would study with dudes as well, but usually that was like in a group session, like a group study session. When I studied with guys, it was usually like a group. But anytime I studied like solo, it was almost always with a girl. Like if I studied like with just one other person, and like depending on the classes, most of the students may be girls anyway. Like in psychology, over half of the student body is going to be female. In a if you if you're people can attest to this in college. Like most college campuses, psychology is an overwhelmingly female major. So most of my study partners were going to be girls anyway, just because of the nature of the student body of that department. Philosophy, on the other hand, was mostly guys, and to be honest, I didn't often get as many study partners in philosophy as I did psychology. But when I did, it was still was generally a girl. Linguistics, well, I was a triple major. For you those who don't know, linguistics was like kind of half and half. So it was always a girl that I can find as a study partner as well. But philosophy tended to be mostly males, mostly white males. Psychology, mostly white females. But it was a sizable amount of like black and Latina girls as well. Well, not Latina, but black and multiracial girls. Okay, linguistics, mm, again, mostly white, but it was more, it was it was slightly more girls than guys, but not as much so as psychology, where it's mostly girls. H&N says, bro, I should be tailoring my viruses. Why am I here? I don't know what you're talking about. He said, this guy is sharp as F. I can feel it. He said, is the human good or bad by nature? Neither. Like, good or bad is like quasi religious concepts that has nothing to do with how we would describe human nature. Let's get back into the subject. He said, have you seen the movie Prometheus? My favorite character was David. I haven't watched it. All those spin-offs from Alien didn't impress me because Alien was supposed to be a horror, and they turned it into like some little sci-fi thriller. Like I wasn't interested in all that stuff. Agnes says, how do you feel after making out with your study partner? Did it put a strain on studying? No. Well, first of all, we did it after we finished studying, not before. Like this is what I'm saying. Like we legitimately study every time I had a study partner. We legitimately study. So it wasn't. It didn't strain the studying because this was something we did after um, studying, right? Um, and no, it just made you look forward to seeing that person again because you already made out, so you got the oxytocin pumping. If you understand that, like when you uh, are romantic with someone, amorous, there tends to be hormones released, um, like oxytocin and vasopressin, which causes a sort of bonding together. So, if anything, it makes you look forward to studying with that person again. What is your favorite music? Um, Classical. M&W says generally men aren't, but I'm certainly a prize. Agnes says yes, lol. So, so when you were in school, Agatha, and you had a male study partner, did did you ever like did you start to have feelings and initiate something with that person, or was it always the guy trying with you? Because, like I said, it was rarely ever me, like you know, trying to start something with a girl. Like we might make jokes here and there with each other, but it was rarely like Um, or she said yes sometimes. See, figured that again. Like I said, my whole thing is I want them like usually when they're comfortable with me, they initiate it, not me. So I'm trying to put these young guys on game, Agatha. Like I said, some of them are going to take the wrong message from it and think I'm just going to study partner. I'm going to try to hit on her, and I'm saying don't hit on them. I'm saying actually study with them. Don't be a creep because it's going to backfire, and then you're going to get a reputation on campus as being a creep. um, I was saying usually when the ladies felt comfortable, they you know let me know that. So and some of them I'm still friends with today, like at least on Facebook. So well, also another here's another wrinkle in that I forgot. So another thing that used to help is like I wanted them to study with me, and then like when I lived in a frat house, that was like a plus to them. They was like, "Oh wow, you live in a frat house?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm not part of the frat. I'm just a boarder here." They're like, "Okay," but they come to the frat house and they're impressed because they see like they walk in like there's like a pool table and all this sort of stuff, like fun stuff inside the house. And they a lot of times they've never been in a frat house, especially if these are like the nerdier girls, so they've never been like to a frat house. So they come to the frat house. They're like, "Oh, this is so cool." I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I was like, except on a weekend, then it's like kind of wild. But yeah, MW says, "Have a good stream. I got work early. Gotta go." That's what's up. All right. Take care, MNW. HNS says, "All right, take care, mate." So yeah, I'm about to go myself, guys. It's late. I'm still kind of hungry. It's only ate once, twice today. So yeah, I'm about to go myself. Unless you guys have any other questions, but like I said, the actual topic for today's stream was "Are men the prize?" And I even left the poll up so that people can vote on it. HNS says, "Have you noticed everyone has a particular smell?" Uh, I don't know. Well, kind of, sort of. I think you've been microdosing on something today, man. People, yes, people have most people in their bodies have particular body bacteria, which may lead to them having, which is why if 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 two different people use the same fragrance, they're gonna smell slightly different because they have slightly different pH balances, which is gonna make the scent unique for each person. But that's completely off topic from this what we're talking about today. Oh, every house. I'm sorry. Every house. That I haven't noticed as much. Like, only time I notice a smell is either if there's a fragrance or if there's a funk. If there's a funk, I don't want to be there. If it's a fragrance, that's cool. My bad. But anyway, that's kind of tangential to this. Agnes says, "I really enjoyed this live. Thank you." Oh, you're welcome. I try to make it fun. Like I said, because it's a contentious topic, so I tried to make it as fun as possible. Instead of, like I said, instead of like a lot of red pill content where it's just very standoffish and it doesn't help. And like I said to the younger guys, if you're watching this now or if you're watching this in a replay, I hope this helped you. Again, if you're going to an online university, you can still use some of that information because you still should be having study partners, even if it's virtual. And people hook up virtually all the time. Like that's what dating apps do. So HNS says, "Yeah, man, you sound smart. Great guy, great person. Thank you." I don't think I'm that smart. I just remember a lot of things. But anyway, guys, I'm about to go. Unless there's any other parting questions germane to this topic, I'll give it a minute or so. But to bring it back to the original topic, which was, are men the prize in the relationship? The thought of why men can be considered as such, although I don't really like the term prize, is because they are, at least in the traditional role, are are given the task of being provider and protector, whereas the woman typically is the one with the demands. So, um, but overall, within a relationship, the two should complement each other. Agatha says, "Okay, have a wonderful night." Thank you, Agatha. Um, all right, guys. Unless there's any other, unless anyone else wanted to expound on what I just said, we can call it there. HNS says, "Of course, we are made. We bring up the money. We make the family strong. Survivor. At least we're supposed to. But unfortunately, we see in society where a lot of women are becoming more masculine and a lot of men are becoming more feminine, and that's unhealthy. So um, I guess this only pertains to guys who are willing to take on that traditional role, right? But on that note, guys, I am out. Um, if you guys have any other questions, leave it in the comment section. Um, and like, if you want to support me, you can drop me a super thanks or sign up for the membership that starts at $2.99. Or in my description, you'll see linked like my Cash App and Venmo or Buy Me a Coffee. So it, if you're willing to do so, that's great. If not, just give me a like and a subscribe. Now that's good money right there. A like and a subscribe. That way, the algorithm puts more trust in me and keeps feeding my content across the YouTube spaces. All right, guys, take care.